conditions. No room for graft. EACC engages Kenya's young generation in the fight against corruption. Well, speak to us on all our social medias at KBC Channel 1. Let us know your thoughts on some of the stories that we're covering for you tonight. Our sign language interpreter is Susan Thuku, and of course my colleague Buchuma Odim is away for the week, as I mentioned yesterday. Let's go straight to a lead story. And 2025 Kenya National Commission on Human Rights report highlighting worrying statistics on violations of rights to life, political rights, and also the right to freedom and security of a person. The report claiming that a total of 57 lives were lost in extrajudicial killings in the last 1 year, with 661 complaints on violations of rights to freedom and security of persons, among them 15 cases of abductions. The report also documented 3 killings in the just concluded elections, with 2 people losing their lives in Kasipul, while 1 person was killed in Kabuchai ward. Kamchemeza opens our coverage tonight with that report.
Between December 2024 and December 2025, a total of 2,848 complaints on alleged human rights violations were documented. 41% of these, equivalent to 1,173, being violations of political and civil rights.
Kenya's human rights performance during the period under review witnessed unprecedented and grave human rights violations that shocked the nation.
The Commission attributing the high numbers to the youth unrest, which it says was as a result of the unmet economic and social rights,
including health, food, education, housing, and social protection, did not just mirror economic hardship, but they were a key driver of public frustration and youth-led agitation.
During the 1 year, 57 lives were lost in extrajudicial killings, mostly in the month of June and July, including that of Alberto Juang.
The resurgence of cases of arbitrary detentions and torture, including abductions and enforced disappearances, allegedly committed by security officials. And during the period under review, 15 cases of abductions were reported.
661 were violations on the right to freedom and security of a person.
The Commission therefore calls for the full operationalization of the National Coroner Service Act, including the appointment of the Chief Coroner.
The Maliza Uhalifu operation in the North Rift region has also been put on the spot.
It's been ongoing, and the resultant effect has been relative calm. There are some allegations that some people were killed, and we are calling upon the relevant authorities to carry out investigation to establish what really happened.
The Commission faulting the just concluded by-elections, saying they fell short of fairness.
The Commission monitored these by-elections, and they were kept out of 2 tallying centers, Chicago Primary School in Mbeere North and Mumboni North Ward. They were kept out of those tallying centers, and therefore we cannot make a decision on whether the elections were free and fair.
The number of deaths in the by-election, and we've documented 3. So 2 of them were from Kasipul, Kabondo, during the by-elections. And then there was one there was a 70-year-old in a stampede in Kabuchai.
And with just less than 2 years to the 2027 general election, the Commission is looking to ensure measures are adopted to protect human rights and freedoms. Kamchemenza for Prime Edition.
We continue to examine graft, and the youth have been urged to rise and stand firm against corruption. Youth Affairs Cabinet Secretary Salim Vuria and EACC Chairperson David Oginde say, if not contained, the future of the youth, who make the majority of the population, will be at stake. Now, they made those remarks during the marking of International Anti-Corruption Day at the KICC with the theme, uniting the youth against corruption. Give Us on Minor puts that story in perspective.
At the Kenyatta International Convention Center, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and other stakeholders gathered to mark the International Anti-Corruption Day. Speakers using the platform to implore the youth to join in the war against the vice.
Building a just and transparent society requires collaboration across generations, across sectors, across institutions, with the youth at the driving force.
When you see corruption, please scream if it is a scream that will wake everybody up. If you need to shout, shout, if that is what will wake up the people of this country to fight corruption.
When billions meant for hospitals, roads, bursaries, and universities funding vanish in private pockets, it is not just money that is stolen, it is the jobs that you are supposed to get as young people.
EACC Chairman David Oginde put the National Transport and Safety Authority NTSA on the spot after an officer demanded a bribe to offer him a service, not knowing he was the EACC boss.
They never explained. I think they discovered that they had asked the wrong person. So they processed that very quickly. They said, go and check the portal now. When I checked, it had been approved. So I was thinking to myself, how many Kenyans are going through this experience?
Court of Appeal President Justice Daniel Musinga challenged the investigative agencies to conduct a thorough probe and present proper evidence in court to convict the corrupt individuals.
The judiciary is playing its part, but we can only do what we have to do when we are presented with the right information, evidence, proper investigations.
In a separate event earlier, Head of Public Service Felix Koskei and Justice and Human Rights PS Judith Pareno launched County Anti-Corruption Civilian Oversight Committees training in a bid to incorporate members of the public in the fight against graft.
Why are you so in a hurry that you want to compromise an officer to get what you want ahead of time? Because corruption is not one way, it is two-way.
They urge Kenyans to hold public servants accountable.
Nasikitika sana nikiona kwa watu wetu wakikufa kwa magonjwa mengi na makubwa kama kansa, lakini tunaona wakubwa wetu kwa occasion mingi sana wakipeana pesa mingi.
Every government for the last 20 to 30 years, they've all been talking about slaying corruption, yet corruption seems to get worse every day.
Pesa ya serikali, pesa yote ikienda mahali fulani, kuna audit inafanyika. Na wanafaa kuwa wanajua hii pesa ilienda mahali fulani. Mtu yote mwenye mahali pesa inapotea, watu wachukuliwe hatua.
Give Us Minor, Prime Edition.
Interesting times now. Let's move on. The National Infrastructure Fund will be unveiled next week. President William Ruto has announced. The head of state says that the fund, which is designed to attract up to 6 times more financing from the private sector, will help to mobilize resources for the country's much-needed infrastructure development. President Ruto spoke Tuesday during the launch of the Savo West Rhino Sanctuary in Ngulia, Taita Taveta County.
The National Infrastructure Fund, which is expected to be launched next week, according to President William Ruto, will ensure Kenya follows through on the country's transformation plans that have remained elusive for years because of limited financing. The fund is expected to mobilize resources for the country's much-needed infrastructure development.
That instrument of National Infrastructure Fund will be ready this week, and we will begin the journey to walk the talk of making sure that we transform this country. So among the areas that we are going to focus are areas like Taita Taveta County, where we have arid and semi-arid areas.
The kitty will also be used to build 50 megadams in another 1,000 small and medium dams to provide water for domestic, livestock, wildlife and for irrigation. This in turn is expected to curb human-wildlife conflicts in arid and semi-arid areas that border parks.
Tunaweka harvesting ya maji ndio tuhakikisha kwamba iko maji ya kutosha ya wananchi, ya wanyama, ya mifugo na ya kuzalisha chakula kwa taifa letu la Kenya.
Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano said the launch of the Tsavo West Rhino Sanctuary in Mboya is an uncontested win of global significance in the world of conservation.
Kenya is on the global map when it comes to conservation. Most importantly, it is a foundation of futuristic biodiversity conservation, a source of dignified livelihood for many, and a lasting covenant for community wealth, building, and self-reliance.
The Tsavo West Rhino Sanctuary is already creating jobs in ranger deployment, surveillance, monitoring, fencing, roadworks, construction, and even logistics.
Taita Taveta County Governor Andrew Mudime welcomed public-private partnership arrangements to address the water challenge in the county.
Kama tumekuwa na mbuga pori kubwa zaidi ulimwengu mzima ya rhinoceros, Mheshimiwa Rais, mawazo yako, nia zako, kwa kweli tukisema sote tunazifuatizia wa Kenya.
From modest beginnings on a 3 square kilometer parcel of land with 3 rhinos 40 years ago, the Tsavo West Rhino Sanctuary has expanded to 3,200 square kilometers, the largest in the world. It is home to more than 200 rhinos. Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, across East Africa, there is a fundamental question that's being tested every single day, the state of the social contract. Now, a consortium of civil society groups is raising concerns over what they term as the shrinking democratic space in the East Africa region. In a new report on the state of civic freedoms in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, launched here in Nairobi, Kenya, Tuesday, the organizations claim that the countries continue to record increased repression drive by policy changes and misuse of law. Speaking during the launch of the report, People's Liberation Party leader Martha Karua faulted regional governments normalizing repression and shrinking the fundamental freedoms.
Human rights defenders in the country are up in arms over what they say is growing intolerance and increased attacks on activists, journalists, and civil society groups by state actors. Speaking at the launch of the State of Civic Space report in Nairobi, Sylvia Mbararu from research organization Civicus Monitor said only 39 countries globally now enjoy open civic space, while over 72% of world's population lives under severe restrictions.
80% of the population, based on World Bank data, of African countries south of the Sahara are living in now the worst categories of countries in terms of civic space and in terms of democratic space as well. Violation in terms of Africa south of the Sahara is the detention of journalists. The detention of journalists was covered or documented in 33 out of the 50 countries.
People's Liberation Party leader Martha Karua called for regional solidarity, stronger institutions, respect for constitutional rights, and protection for civil society actors. Karua cited police brutality during protests and transnational repression where activists are abducted or deported across borders as evidence of coordinated authoritarian trends in the region.
Civic freedom is not an abstract concept. It is the air that democracy breathes. It is the oxygen of national dignity. When civic space shrinks, corruption grows. When activists are targeted, impunity flourishes. When the press is intimidated, truth becomes a casualty.
Civic Freedom Forum Chair Davis Malombe echoed the concerns, noting that civic space in East African states, including Kenya, are sliding deeper into repression.
Within the East African situations are really bad because you'll find Kenya, Uganda, Sudan, Rwanda, and Rwanda are repressed. Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, Burundi, and Djibouti are lost. We are wallowing in the state of authoritarianism in Africa.
Joseph Wahungu for Prime Edition.
Let's now look at the state of play of the local politics, and a section of leaders allied to the united opposition say that they will resort to private prosecution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission officials over what they term irregularities witnessed during the recently concluded by-elections. The leaders, led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, DAP Kenya's Eugene Wamalwa, and the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, also accused government of trying to divide the opposition, vowing to remain united in their bid to unseat President William Ruto in 2027. Tilio Marco is our man on that story.
The opposition leaders attended a burial in Murang'a County, where they expressed their displeasure in the just concluded by-elections, accusing the senior officials of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission of allowing irregularities.
We are going even for private prosecution because yale yalifanyika hapa mbele na Malava, criminal. The chairman, first of all, anakilia mtu ambaye is not even amekuwa mulagai kwa majina yake hajulikani. They don't know the man who won in Bere, jina lake ni lipi. He had renounced his name. The wrong voter turns up to vote for himself, to declare himself a candidate. Therefore, the IBC chair is culpable.
They accuse the Kenya Kwanza government of failing to lower the cost of education.
Wazazi wanangoja Januari, fees itaongezeka, capitation imepunguzwa, pale tulikuwa tumeweka na Uhuru Kenyatta 22,000, imeteremka hadi 12. So from January mzigo huo kulipa fees utakuwa zaidi mzigo kwa wazazi. Wale ambao wana payslip zao wamefinywa hadi imefinyika.
The leaders are laid of a plot to divide the opposition ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Na leo tunataka tuambie wale ambao wanafikiria watatugawanya, or they drive a wedge between Rigiji na Kalonzo ama Wamalwa, haitawezekana.
What is binding us together is really not political rhetoric. It is the love of this nation.
Hii kura ya mulima itaenda kikapu moja. One. Kama kuna mtu atataka kusimamisha hapa Murang'a, atapata kura 15,000.
Meanwhile, the newly registered National Economic Development Party interim leader Mike Sonko is urging the youth to register as voters to make their voices count in the ballot.
We are going to follow a democratic process of electing leaders through the delegates, through the wananchi.
Next year we'll have a robust exercise of mobilizing youth across the country to register as voters, so that in 2027 we'll have the best candidates contesting these positions.
The party, which received its interim registration certificate, was formed by a group of professionals and will soon unveil its National Executive Council. Sonko signaled his intention to yet again have the Supreme Court review his impeachment case. Tilio Marco for Prime Edition.
Well, Political Watch brings us to our first break here on Prime Edition at exactly 15 minutes past the top of the hour. Coming up, the bio inquest. Lawyer cries foul. Details in the second part of this live broadcast. Stay with us.
From a legacy shaped through decades of transformation, the Telposter pension scheme stands as a pillar of security for former Telkom Kenya staff and their families. Guided by a dedicated board of trustees, the scheme safeguards benefit, ensure timely payment, and invest wisely for a stable future. Telposter Pension Scheme and Provident Fund invites all its members to an annual general meeting for the financial year ended 30th June 2025. At the Kenyatta International Convention Center, Aberdare Lenana Room. Watch this AGM live on KBC Channel 1 at 9:30 a.m. on 10th December 2025. Telposter Pension Scheme, assuring your future.
Dr. Sun, this is my nephew. He just came to Sana. Is he hurt badly?
Badly, yeah.
Weren't you pretty spry just now? Said I was lovely, wanted my WeChat and all, and now you're hurt?
I can tolerate a lot of things, but not matters like this. This is about my professional reputation.
Captain, this really is not our fault.
Dr. Mo.
What's up?
Jeannie is able to eat snow. Thank you for saving her life. This cashew nut is grown by my family.
But I can't take his gifts. It's not right.
Welcome back to Prime Edition. Our locals at KBC Channel 1 speak to us on all those platforms. Now, moving on, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has challenged Kenyan investors locally and also across the borders to embrace private sector for widely economic growth of the country. Speaking here in Nairobi, Kenya, during the launch of the Kenya Diaspora Investment Strategy and Digital Remittance Booklet, Mudavadi, who's also the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, said that the private sector is the primary driver of job creation, innovation, and sustainable economic growth. Here's that report.
On Tuesday, Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, led top officials from the State Department for Diaspora Affairs and Development Partners launched the Kenya Diaspora Investment Strategy 2025-2030 and Digital Remittance Booklet. Mudavadi rallied Kenyans locally and in the diaspora to embrace the private.
What is good for the investor here should be equal to what the diaspora is looking for. If the investment climate is wrong, even for the Kenyan investor who is domiciled here, then it is not right for the diasporan investor either. So I want us to look at this investment agenda holistically and globally. It has to be a package. We must create the right environment across the board.
Mudavadi further said the launch of the Diaspora Investment Strategy marks a new chapter in the country's economic diplomacy.
When there is efficient and free flow of capital and investment in all our countries, we cannot rely on one country having that freedom and others not having it, because ultimately then the benefits will not go to everybody.
The idea of nationhood, the idea of their culture, their faith, their customs, their dreams and aspirations continued forever for 2,000 years in the diaspora. That is the power of diaspora. Diasporas are able to carry dreams, aspirations, ideas, even nationhood.
Diaspora Investment Strategy aligns with the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda and Kenya's Vision 2030 goals. The 5-year plan focuses on sustainable development through increased investment, trade, and enterprise creation. At the same time, development partners, including the International Organization Migration and UK International Development, noted the Digital Remittance Booklet is a practical guide that promotes secure, affordable, and accessible remittance channels.
The potential of the diaspora community is just information, and I think today we're talking about how we're making information available to the larger community. It's also focused on increased understanding engagement with financial stakeholders on the barriers and opportunities that they face and how we can address them to reduce costs and increase the impact of remittances.
We've deepened our partnership with Kenya, not just here in Nairobi, but also working closely with Kenya Diaspora in the UK and exploring ways to make remittances cheaper and more productive. Through enabling as many people as possible to access digital remittance services, we've helped to significantly reduce the cost incurred when sending remittances from the UK to Kenya.
On to the Inquest story now. The family of the late gospel singer Beatrice Wairimu Mboya, popularly known as Betty Bayo, has written to the Director of Public Prosecutions, Renson Mulele, and the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, requesting them to launch an inquest into what led to her death. Through her lawyer, Omenke Andenje and company advocate Betty Bayo's mother, Joyce Wairimu Mboya, states that the family suspects foul play. The family claims that Betty Bayo did not die from leukemia as claimed. Ruth Wamboi with the emerging details.
Oi mami, mwanosio wako akirira thimuni.
Days after claiming in a live interview on TikTok that her daughter was murdered, Betty Bayo's mother has intensified her pursuit for justice. Joyce Wairimu wants an inquiry into the death of the celebrated gospel singer. In her petition to the Director of Public Prosecution and the Inspector General of Police, Bayo's mother claims that her daughter did not have an underlying medical condition as reported. She further says the family was denied an autopsy report and that she was hurriedly buried to conceal facts that may have led to her death. Wairimu further states that the family was denied access to medical records and information about what the deceased was being treated for, disputing that she was suffering from leukemia as earlier reported. Bayo died on November 10, 2025 at the Kenyatta National Hospital. All eyes are now set on the DPP and the Inspector General to see if they will allow the inquest as requested by the late singer's family. Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
Let's move away from that now. And the government has officially rebranded the Public Benefit Organizations Regulatory Authority, formerly the NGOs Coordination Board, in a move aimed at strengthening oversight, transparency, and accountability within Kenya's non-profit sector. The authority unveiled a new logo and website Tuesday, marking a significant overhaul of its digital assets as part of efforts to improve service delivery and engagement with stakeholders. The PBO authority is mandated to register and regulate all non-governmental organizations, foundations, and charitable institutions operating here in Kenya.
Congratulations! Here is the new logo for the PBORA.
Speaking during the launch ceremony, Interior Principal Secretary Dr. Raymond Omolo said the rebranding aligns the authority with government guidelines on service delivery, user experience, recognizability, and digital communication, while reflecting the need to align the non-profit sector with national development priorities.
This act provides for a more vibrant, accountable, transparent, and partnership-driven PBO sector. And as one of the stakeholders engaged during the development of this new brand, I am happy that the authority, with support from the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, KEPROBA, took into account the imperatives of the PBO Act, PBO sector realities, and expectations of stakeholders in coming up with this image.
Beyond the new visual identity, the Principal Secretary challenged the authority to strengthen regulatory oversight, improve service delivery, and deepen engagement with the public and sector players.
You will now be expected to live up to the ideals of the brand in all respects and demonstrate in real-life situation what you should be known for, what you have committed to represent, and project yourselves in a manner that you have defined.
The move comes amid heightened efforts by the government to address concerns over illicit activities infiltrating the non-profit sector, including terrorism financing, money laundering, corruption, human trafficking, and the misuse of charitable funds. Jacqueline Masharia for Prime Edition.
Now, a section of organizations in Kajiado County has begun an ambitious program aimed at addressing the food insecurity in Kajiado County. Led by the Worldwide Fund, the organizations revealed that 40 women's group have so far benefited from a donation of 120 dairy goats and cows. And by the way, Kajiado County is among those regions that are currently facing severe drought. Timothy Kipnusu is our man on that report.
It is a sigh of relief to a section of residents in Kajiado County who are staring at starvation due to prolonged drought after being empowered economically. The project targeting women, started by Worldwide Fund for Kenya in collaboration with Care International, is indeed a game changer in this region. According to Worldwide Fund Southern Kenya Landscape Manager Martin Mulama, the project, which is running for 4 years, will boost family livelihoods.
If we can have finances, of course, the global financing coming in and flowing to the women, the first thing is we'll move from mini projects or mini livelihood to actually improving the macro economy of the region itself. So it's one thing that we want to first start up with the smaller projects like goat rearing, but eventually we want to see them, and that's actually their wish, that they are doing livestock rearing as well.
The organization has since conducted trainings for women to better understand their ventures.
In all these enterprise projects that we do bring to the women group, the first thing we do is to be able to sit with them and understand if there's anything they're doing. Ours is to basically try and improve it, but also show them lessons learned from other areas or other projects that we've done. So we do take into consideration a lot of indigenous knowledge, because they do know. It's maybe the how is what we also try and just add value to it, but basically taking into consideration the indigenous knowledge.
In the meantime, the government is being urged to ensure there is ready market for farmers.
In many projects, we do partner with other partners that are better or have a better capacity in that area, but most importantly is the county government. For example, we work very closely with the veterinary department for the county. So most of the goat dairy husbandry is done by the county veterinarians.
Ikitoka kwa huu mtambo ambao unaitwa homogenizer, ndio inarudi hapa kwa hii sehemu ambayo inaitwa maximum heating, ambayo ni sehemu kidogo. Hiyo ndio inachoma maziwa yanaiva kabisa.
The technical officer at Oloitoktok Dairy Plant, John Mugo, says demand for milk is high.
Walikuwa wanapitia changamoto nyingi sana, kama kumwaga maziwa au kuachiwa maziwa juu imezidi kiwango kile cha mahitaji ya dairy wanahitaji. Kwa hivyo sisi kama kwa niaba ya Oloitoktok Dairy tunaweza sema ni asanti kwa huu mtambo, kwa sababu tangu uje tumekuwa tukipokea idadi kubwa ya maziwa.
Stakeholders are calling on the county and national government to fund the project to benefit more farmers in the near future. Even as many parts of the country continue to witness prolonged drought, Kajiado County is not an exception, with a section of women coming together to beat all the odds, embracing the rearing of goats and cows, a venture that has enabled them to boost their yields and eke a living. Timothy Kipnosu for Prime Edition, Kajiado County.
Stay with agriculture now. The agricultural experts in the western part of the country have challenged government to invest more in soil nutritional levels regeneration. Drawing experience from a decade-long soil regeneration program under the GIZ dubbed Pro Soil Project, they estimated the country is losing close to 170 billion shillings every year due to poor soils. The project covered Siaya, Bungoma, and Kakamega counties. Achola Simon with the details.
From lessons learned throughout the decade-long Pro-Soil project funded by the German cooperation agency GIZ, agricultural experts want the government to invest more in soil regeneration, incentivize farming, and build general capacity for farmers to protect the soils.
Healthy soils need three things: knowledge about soil management. Number two is investment of capital. And number three is institutions that provide a favorable environment for farmers.
Farmers across the western region have previously either used inadequate or wrong fertilizers, tremendously increasing its acidic levels.
A lot of our soils in Kenya, a good percentage are sick, and we also have few cases where we have really big challenges in terms of dead soil. But all is not lost, because if I look at the technologies, what our farmers have learned over the last 4 years, I mean over the last 10 years when it comes to this project, they have learned how to manage, because basically what we really need for us and for us in Kenya is to manage our soils.
Under the just concluded program, at least 228,000 farmers were enrolled in the project. Significant growth in yields of up to 46% were realized with noticeable improved soil agricultural land management practices.
We realized that our soils were not very good. Owing to the preliminary results that we carried out in the field, most of the soils were acidic and immediate measures were supposed to be taken. So as a county government, we are building a laboratory which will help to subsidize the cost of soil testing and analysis and make it closer to our farmers.
To leverage the gains made, the experts want both the national and county governments to invest more in extension services.
For extension services in Kenya, which are the responsibility of county governments, this requires public investment and also very knowledgeable extension officers. Number two is investment into also subsidies of fertilizer, which is currently taking place, but it also needs especially investment into organic fertilizer. And number two is an institutional framework that incentivizes farmers.
They are also calling on structured sustainable efforts to create employment to curb rural-urban migration. They also want more youths involved in the agriculture sector.
It's now time for the County News Roundup, and healthcare professionals are urging communities, government institutions and private sector actors to strengthen support systems for children with disabilities, citing a growing gap between rising diagnosis and available services. Here now are the details.
The call was made during a workshop hosted by Gertrude Children's Hospital in partnership with Sanlam Alliance Holdings, where parents and caregivers were trained on strategies to support the independence, communication and social development of children with special needs.
Those children with special needs have unique challenges that other children don't have. So they have challenges in social inclusion, they have challenges in learning, they have challenges in accessing common amenities that children need to thrive and grow. They have challenges in fitting in, and they generally have challenges in terms of optimizing their potential.
We want to contribute as an organization towards the achievement of the social development goals, specifically around social inclusion.
Elsewhere, Mandera County marked the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence by hosting a public awareness event that brought together stakeholders including women leaders, elders, community activists, and young girls.
GBV is not only a personal tragedy, it's a national concern. It affects the health, it affects education, it affects economic productivity, it affects peace and security. And most importantly, it undermines the core values of respect and dignity that holds our societies together.
And in Kiambu County, farmers have called upon county governments to set up a kitty in all agricultural departments, which will facilitate soil testing to establish the level of acidity. They say the last soil testing analysis was done in 1972.
Even within the counties, we have not been able to do focused surveys, because I think the devolution would have been more sensible to me if it also attempted to do those kind of services. In the holistic way, in the policy way, in the government way, it is not being done. And I think that is something that we need to do.
Elsewhere, the National Environment Complaints Committee has given companies that own mines in Kilifi County 2 months to ensure they comply with mining laws. According to the committee's executive director, Mary Njogu, they have received complaints from residents that investors in the mines are causing environmental pollution that is affecting the health of residents. Separately, preparations are in full swing in Migori County as the region gears up to host the much-anticipated 5th edition of the Pini Luo Festival, which unites the Luo community from various regions and continues to play a central role in preserving cultural identity, promoting unity, and showcasing the richness of Luo heritage.
The Pini Luo celebration is a celebration that brings the Luos globally together, the Luos in diaspora, in any nation outside Kenya. So we are expecting a large number of guests. We are expecting representation from all those areas.
Nixon Gare for Prime Edition.
Careful, miss, careful. What happened to you? Trini, why don't you answer me? Are you absolutely sure that she's...
Yes. I saw her this morning, Dad. She was fine.
Lea Premium Flour, nurturing the world. Available in a store near you.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima
tunaangazia ufugaji wa samaki Makueni
na kisha ubora wa kawi ya jua kule shambani.
Karibu miaka 10 tangu nianze kutumia sola. Nilianza kutumia sola juu huku kwetu stima hakuna. Stima tumeomba stima tupate. Tukaamulia sola.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1
kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Some business now. Kenya is on record to receive 3 million visitors this year, driven by a major rebound in tourism numbers. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano says that this is expected to boost revenue by more percentage to 560 billion shillings, driven by marketing, diversification, and also improved air connectivity. Miano further says that the country is targeting 5 million visitors in 2 years, with revenue expected to eclipse the 1 trillion shilling mark by the year 2027.
The tourism numbers have recovered, surpassing pre-COVID levels and beating estimates. Kenya is planning to turbocharge the numbers to hit the 5 million mark by the year 2027. The government says a new policy will strengthen the numbers by creating a framework for all players in the industry to work together. Speaking at the Kenya Tourism, Wildlife and Mice Week, CS Miano urged tourism operators, investors and other stakeholders to submit proposals that will inform the government's comprehensive policy agenda.
And I request the private sector and all players in the tourism and wildlife conservation space to really seize the moment. Let us have your proposals today, tomorrow, so that we can look at them and I get executive consideration, and by Friday we get pronouncements.
The government plans to launch a 5-year national tourism strategy which seeks to triple arrival numbers by 2035. Speakers at the MICE conference have called for innovative funding models like public-private partnerships, blended finance and investment incentives to mobilize capital for sustainable sector growth.
When the counties are in charge, when they are playing their role, tourism grows. So the national government gives the backup in terms of policy, in terms of strategy, in terms of technical expertise, and also in terms of whatever other financial support that they can give. But ideally speaking, the county governments play a very critical role in the development of tourism products in the preservation, in the conservation.
Kenya Tourism Board CEO June Chepkemei has highlighted initiatives such as the Tembea Kenya, Magical Kenya, and the recently launched Magical Kenya Mountain Trails as examples of how policy-driven campaigns can enhance both domestic and international tourism.
Engagement from the industry, we have in part of the notes we've been taking and the memoranda, the need to have the national government work with the county government in having signature experiences per county so that we know what each county is uniquely known for, and we can market that.
Electric motorcycle dealers are deploying end-of-the-life battery strategies to deal with risks posed by lithium-ion batteries. Watu Credit Commercial Manager Eric T. says stakeholder partnerships on a circular economy, specifically battery-as-a-service models, second life applications and specialized recycling are being deployed to tackle the issue.
The government is developing standards and a regulatory framework for battery waste, reuse and disposal, which have proposed to place the responsibility for take-back schemes on the producers. The aim is to create a robust national system for managing e-waste and promoting a circular economy. To that end, suppliers of electric motorcycles like Watu are aligning their strategies to meet these policy directions.
Our batteries have a clear life cycle, and we have a battery management system that is monitoring all the life cycle of the battery, and we have a battery lab that is set up with very dedicated young engineers who are qualified, who are monitoring batteries on daily basis within 24 hours. We have a clear plan of our second life project that is coming up.
In regards to regulation, maybe the government can come in, standardize a lot of this battery systems, whether it's the connector, battery management systems, etc., etc. So this will be something that really we need to bring into Kenya.
Once the capacity of batteries for electric motorcycles drop below 80% of original capacity, they're repurposed for less strenuous applications, such as static energy storage for solar and wind power. Watu Credit Commercial Manager Eric T. says this strategy extends the useful life of the battery by another 10 to 20 years.
We encourage on safety, we encourage on going green as possible. Right now, I think the EV and petrol, we're in transition period. We still need petrol bikes for some places where there's no infrastructure.
For individuals to actually enjoy the benefits of owning electric motorcycles, measures are being put in place to smoothen ownership and deepen uptake.
So as you know, border riders are generally unbanked in Kenya. We basically accept almost 99% of loans from the border community. We work very closely with them. From every community level, from the stage level all the way to the rider level.
Majorly naweza sema imenisaidia so far nilikuwa natumia so much nikitumia mafuta share service we don't do service na electricals.
The conversation is quickly moving from adoption of EVs to how we can dispose of their components like batteries. Imagine taking an example of repurposing an old battery, just like repurposing an old petrol motorcycle like this one. Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
Good stuff, Alan. Now, hundreds of young women from undeserved communities in Kenya stand to benefit from new skills training, mentorship, and direct links to decent job opportunities under a 3-year program launched by Standard Chartered Bank Foundation and UNICEF. Standard Chartered Kenya CEO Kariuki Ngari says that the initiative is a strategic response to the rising youth unemployment, particularly among young women who face limited pathways into formal work.
The youth bulge, which is often cited as one of the country's greatest development opportunities, took center stage as Standard Chartered Bank Foundation and UNICEF's Generation Unlimited unveiled Links to Work, a 3-year employability program aimed at empowering young women aged 18 to 24.
Trying to make sure that when you go for that interview, the interviewer will say, that young lady has something. Let's open the door for them. Because the door it closes very easily. But I think the statistics are here. I don't have to defend it anymore. 1 in 3, 1 in 10. I don't know whether you missed that. And we've seen this. When women settle, when women have access to employment, when they have an income, communities settle.
All the demand is to be heard, and all the demand is that we understand and we design our programs accordingly that resonates with our young people's ambition. And there's no reason why we should not trust.
Links to Work seeks to bridge structural gaps limiting young women's entry into the labor market by addressing both skill supply and job demand.
Young women face many challenges, including access to networks. They face challenges with mobility, and they face other challenges and other structural biases during hiring processes. And you'll find that because of this, the young women are really suffering the major brunt of unemployment.
There is a program that we're doing with young women, young moms in Kibera, are looking to rewrite their stories. These women would come to the training session and so much determination in their eyes. They wanted to make a change for themselves.
The program will operate in Kenya and Nigeria with a target to link at least 1,500 women to opportunities over the next 3 years. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Dairy farmers who met agreed milk supply targets in both quantity and quality over the last 6 months are set to share out 257 million shillings from Brookside Dairy. Brookside Dairy General Manager for Milk Procurement, Emmanuel Kabaki, says the payment is in addition to the payments made for milk delivered to the processor in an initiative to encourage farmers to increase volumes while mainstreaming clean milk production. Kabaki says that the payout will benefit dairy groups and individual farmers across country who have been supplying raw milk to Brookside since July this year. He says that the dairy processor has this year offered over 60,000 dairy farmers extension services, field day trainings, and the use of demonstration farms to showcase best farming practice. Now, the Sacco Society's regulatory authority will be empowered to strengthen sector oversight, establishing a deposit protection fund and a savings stabilization fund to cushion members against losses. Under new reforms by government, a central liquidity facility will be created to provide emergency support to SACCOs facing short-term cash flow gaps.
Speaking at the opening of the 10th Cusco Annual Leaders Summit in Mombasa, Cooperatives Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya says amendments to the Sacco Societies Act will entrench transparency, digital integration, and institutional accountability across the industry. The CS says the government will roll out mandatory professional registration for Sacco board members and executives to curb leadership recycling, saying anyone who fails the governance in one Sacco will not be allowed to shift to another.
This hard-earned savings from members, we must make sure that as a government we have legislation and policies that protect members' savings.
Oparanya further says that the amendments to the Sacco Societies Act will enhance transparency, promote digital integration, and reinforce institutional accountability across the industry.
And we have structured implementation over the next 5 years. We are sure that what is in the report, if it is implemented fully, Kenya will be in a different level in terms of SACCOs in the world as a whole.
In 2025, a number of fraud cases have rocked the sector, leading to loss of billions of shillings in member savings, eroding market confidence.
We are also coming up with stabilization fund, savings stabilization fund. This will address SACCOs that have liquidity problem. This fund will be able to help them, to help the SACCOs that have liquidity problem to recover.
SACCOs have also been encouraged to continue paying subscriptions and participating in governance training to ensure strong oversight and transparency. Sylvia Gatti for Prime Edition.
ni mpenda soka? Na je, wajua kuwa KBC mwenzio wako wa dhati michezoni anakujali? Ndio maana KBC Channel 1 hukuletea taarifa na uchambuzi wa soka.
Kafu ndio wamechukua usukani
humu nchini, barani Afrika na ugaibuni, ikiwemo EPL, Serie A, Bundesliga na ligi zingine. Mashabiki pia hutuzwa kwa kujibu maswali kuhusiana na soka.
Swali letu la leo.
Haya yote ni kwenye kipindi cha Dunda Dunda kwenye KBC Channel 1 kila Ijumaa kuanzia saa 5 asubuhi hadi saa 6:30 mchana.
Nawahimiza Wakenya waendelee watch Dunda Dunda show.
KBC, mwenzio wa dhati michezoni.
On to sports now. Kenyan boxer Robert Okaka stormed into the quarterfinals of the ongoing IBA Men's World Boxing Championships in Dubai after defeating Tunisia's Youssef Rafrafi. The milestone comes on the back of another stellar display in his previous bout, where Okaka outpointed Estonia's Anton Vinogradov for 1 point to progress from the round of 32.
From Rafi.
In a strong statement for Kenya's boxing hopes, light heavyweight sensation Robert Okaka secured his place in the quarterfinals of the 2025 IBA World Boxing Championships in Dubai after a commanding win over Tunisia's Youssef Rafrafi.
Looking for that right hand over the top once again, and Rafi finding himself in a really tricky position here now.
According to match reports, Okaka overwhelmed his Tunisian opponent, forcing a referee to stop the contest in the third round to seal the victory.
Another left jab just inconveniences Rafi. I think that's a very clever display in the first round.
The win comes on the back of another stellar display in his previous bout, where Okaka outpointed Estonia's Anton Vinogradov 4-1 to progress from the round of 32.
It off. And exploding in jubilant celebration is Robert Okaka, the man from the Kenyan hit squad.
Shafi Bakari in the bantamweight category opened Kenya's campaign with a solid win when he defeated Dode Zekaya of Ethiopia on points in the first round. A third Kenyan win came via Washington Wandera, a debutant in the lightweight 60 kilograms category, who outboxed his Ugandan opponent, sending him to the quarterfinals. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
More than 100 teams are competing in the 2025 edition of the annual Humphrey Muchuma Sports Tournament, which was launched on Monday evening in Webuye West, in Bungoma County. The tournament will feature various sporting disciplines, including football and volleyball, and will conclude on the 1st of January 2026.
A total of 113 sports teams are fighting for the 2025 titles of the annual Humphrey Muchuma Sports Tournament, which will run until the first day of the new year. Winners of the tournament, renowned for its focus on community unity and youth empowerment, will be rewarded cash prizes. Launched by Humphrey Muchuma, CEO of Inua AI Group, the 2025 edition, like the previous two editions, is aimed at fostering unity during the holiday season, encouraging youth engagement in sport and technology, and addressing issues such as gender-based violence.
We are here to promote unity, we are here to promote talent, and of course the unstoppable spirit of our young people. We want to see young people stepping into the field. And when they step into the field, they're actually exploring the opportunities that are there. And we want to protect that, and we want to support that as a group.
Even as teams vie for victory, the event in its third edition stands as a testament to the power of sports in driving social change and community cohesion.
It's very important for our young people to understand that the future is changing. Other than sports, there are also opportunities. We can have people growing in other people growing in the area of sports. We also have talents coming up in the area of artificial intelligence. And we very well know internet made a lot of millionaires when it was launched. But this one will make even 100 times more millionaires, and we want our children to be exposed to that, to grow, so that they can bring the money here, grow our community, grow the people.
City Koyang FC and Mwangaza Starlets won the 2024 football edition of the tournament. City Koyang FC defeated Kandalala 4-3 on post-match penalties to lift the men's title, while Mwangaza Starlets won the women's title after registering a 1-0 win over Kandalala Starlets in the final.
We've seen rise on the surge in gender-based violence, and I think that kind of tournaments, and this particular tournament, will help a big deal, because we get the teams engaged. We are here, we're working together as one family, you know, we're here as a unified team, and we can engage them. We can provide opportunities for them. We'll have people that will be here scouting for talent this time, for them to go and, you know, play outside the country, and some of them locally.
Kuyua girls defeated Mwembula women in 3 straight sets to win the women's volleyball title. Inua AI is a tech company that aims to create awareness on artificial intelligence, provide training in information technology, and offer job opportunities in the digital space.
AI is the buzzword, action and intention in sports. Now, moving on, the Kenyan shooter Irene Anyango won the Player of the Match award after a standout display as Kenya women netball team narrowly lost 46-45 goals to She Cranes of Uganda in the ongoing African Netball Cup in Lilongwe, Malawi. Uganda dictated the early momentum, taking all quarters with narrow but crucial leads. 14-7 goals after the first quarter, 23-18 at halftime, and 35-33 goals heading into the final quarter. Now, despite frequent momentum swings in the closing stages, the She Cranes held their nerve to seal a vital 1-goal victory in their first game of the tournament. Kenya is placed Pool 2 alongside Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Uganda.
She tries to shoot and she scores.
Team Kenya's men's and women's tug-of-war squads roared to commanding victories in their opening matches at the ongoing East African Community Inter-Parliamentary Games in Kampala, Uganda. The men's team, led by Tigania West Member of Parliament John Mutunga, overpowered hosts Uganda in a decisive double fall, sealing a thrilling win after a tense and electrifying showdown at Lugogo grounds. Equally impressive was the unstoppable women's team, captained by Kakamega women representative Elsie Muhanda, crushed both Uganda and South Sudan to soar to the top of the table with 6 points.
Winning is not about preparation. There are many people who really prepare and they come here and they are defeated. So it takes of course, with preparation, but it takes more God to give us victory, because He's the one who gives us victory.
Kenya's Njoroge Kibugi and Naomi Wafula have secured historic playing cards on the Sunshine Tour and Sunshine Ladies Tour after strong performances throughout the inaugural season of the Sunshine Development Tour. Njoroge has climbed 1,896 places on the official World Golf, ranking from 3,508 before the start of the tour to 1,612, currently making him the highest ranked East African, believe it or not, in the world. Naomi Wafula earned her card to the Sunshine Ladies Tour after an outstanding season where she made 7 out of 8 cuts of the Sunshine Development Tour. She is currently ranked 18th on the order of merit and is the highest ranked female player on the tour.
It means a lot to be the first Kenyan to secure a Sunshine Tour card. I'm forever grateful to Sunshine Tour and Sunshine Development Tour for giving us the opportunity. And yeah, I just can't wait to showcase my talent on the big stage.
Through the Sunshine Development Tour that we've been playing, now I got a card for the Sunshine Ladies Tour in South Africa. That is so amazing. It's always been my dream to play on tour.
That is a first for East African golf. In 125 years, no East African has ever secured a playing card on any tour globally. So Njoroge Kifogo becomes the first East African, the first Kenyan in 125 years.
Well, and that does it for sports at exactly 1 minute past 10. Thank you all so much for making time to be with us. On behalf of the Prime Edition in the back end, I want to thank you. My name is Mboya. Our sign language has been Susan Thuku. Good night and God bless you. See you next week. Same station, same time, Monday, Tuesday. Good night and God bless.
For charity, dial *419 hash.
Nakuona. Kuja hivi sasa. Ona. Mama tu. Let's go wote. Oya. What is wrong? Buddha. Siku umedial *419 hash. Shika. Yani hujui kwa option 3 kuna Pro Box? Pro Box. Usisahau kwa *419 hash option 3 iko Pro Box ya bahati. Na ikikuangukia ufunguo utakufikia mahali popote ulipo. Usisahau. Majamaa, kuna mtu ana dial *419 hash option ya 4 saa hizi, na 3rd of January namletea hii gari baada ya kumtangaza kama mshindi. Ni wewe, utajua. Yes, now you know, 3rd of January, mark it kwa kalenda yako ikiwa somebody anatoka na Pro Box officially. Niko na watatu hapa ambao wako tayari kungangana na our 12 boxes. My dear, majina nani?
Beth Mwangi.
Kutoka maeneo gani?
Murang'a County.
Big man?
Yes, sir.
Kutoka wapi?
Irundani.
Majina nani?
Steven Kamau.
Aha, shughuli unafanya gani?
Driver. Anda nini na maroli hapo bike.
Aha. Kajina nani?
Recho, kutoka Dandora.
Kazi ni gani?
Na usanguo.
Nyote mnataka 100. Nawapatia fursa ya kuingoa ama ya kuiwacha hapo. One of these boxes iko na hiyo pesa. Hapa ndani nimeweka baiskeli ya mountain na iko na bag na iko na helmet. Very lovely bag. Hapa ndani nimewekea laptop. Hapa ndani nimewekea chumvi supply ya mwaka mzima. Hapa ndani nimewekea mala, ugali na mboga. Hapa ndani iko 20,000 Kenyan shillings, iko 20,000 shillings, iko 40,000 Kenyan shillings na iko 120,000 Kenyan shillings. Msema kweli? Fungulia watu waanze Disemba na ukweli. Oneshe mala iko wapi na ugali yake na mboga yake.
Waoneshe 20,000 ya kwanza iko wapi, 20,000 ya pili iko wapi, na the 120,000 Kenyan shillings iko wapi. Nyote watatu nataka kuwapatia fursa ya kutoa one of these boxes. Muingoe box ambao mnafikiri iko na nini?
Nchumvi.
Discuss, munaona ni sanduku gani mnataka itoke. Wamesema wanataka kutoa chumvi. Rachel, Beth na Steve, umeamua ni sanduku gani mnataka itoke pale?
Number 12.
Number
12.
12. Nani anatamani kufika hapo wa kwanza? Ajichagulie box yake ya bahati kati ya this 11 zilizobaki. Bas. Nataka kuuliza swali moja. Steve.
Yes.
You're such a simple boy. Hakukataa kuchukua shilingi zangu 1,100.
Rongo. Atusiogoga.
Nyote mmetoa mountain bike na bag. Mwaka mzima ya chumvi na kungoja pale. 2026 tumeshainyunyizia. Mweshika 20,000?
Ndio.
Hiyo unashikanga mtu amechanga wewe bwana. Na ka 40 imeingia hapo. That is 2020. Iko 40,000 Kenya shillings hapa. Iko 120,000 Kenya shillings. Hiyo utafanyia nini ukishika?
Najua.
Uliyetoa baiskeli, awamu ni yako. Nakupa 1,000 Kenya shillings. Enda kwa
Sakibu wako. Kwa hapo.
Ona mahali ameweka. 2,000. Weka tu kwa hiyo 7. Weka tu kwa hiyo 7. Kama uitaki. 3, 4. Weka tu kwa hiyo 7. 5.
Haya.
Hapo. 6. 7. Nilimpatia 7,000 akaweka kwa sanduku namba 7. If I were you, ningeweka hii pesa hapa, niweke hii hapa. My thoughts too.
Hapo.
Zote umeziweka hapa?
Hizi ni zako.
Hizo ni zangu. Oh.